welcome back to the podcast for this Christmas special, and I have hilariously come up with the title Ho Ho Who Are These Podcasts Part 2, Alone in New York. The returning king of the podcasting world, Karl Harbinger. Karl, how are you doing today?
I am very well. Merry Christmas to you and yours, Hughezy.
I just want to start off with a legitimate apology for last week. At the time of recording this, it was 7 days ago. I don't know if you noticed, I had a mild throat problem on the show. Did you notice?
I can't believe you're still alive right now. That was on his deathbed. That was on my show. Oh yeah, you're still doing well. I see.
Yeah. Yeah, so because the thing which was bad is that I wasn't feeling well on the Monday or the Tuesday, but I was able to talk fine. And then that Wednesday I was to record for WATP, and right as we're recording, the big fat thighs of Amy Schumer's cunt just wrapped around my head, and I thought, oh my, I don't feel so good.
Well, it's great because nobody ever complains about your voice anyway. Yeah. So, it's not like it was going to be a problem no matter what. We want it to be a little bit worse if possible, and you delivered.
Yeah, I was hoping that if anybody's ever thought, I want to hear a podcast where someone is gurgling blood, well, there you go, and it's up for free on all good podcast services. But I got to ask Karl, especially because this is going to be my final podcast of the year. What's your genuine daily schedule like? Because it seems at the minute that you're pretty much 24/7 working.
Yeah, so I switched over to podcasting full time. You know, I'd been slowly moving in that direction, and I have this habit of getting myself too busy in projects. So now what I'm doing is, who are these podcasts? 2 days a week, Wednesdays and Saturdays. We do the Creep Off on Mondays. I do the Drew and Mike show, the crossover episodes every other Tuesday. And tomorrow we're debuting Who Are These Socials, a new show I'm going to be doing with Blind Mike Geary, where it's a take on social media.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
that'll be Thursdays at 6 Eastern on YouTube. We'll put it out as a podcast as well.
So basically, like, what, do you get days off at all, or is it always work?
Today was going to be one of them. Yep. Thanks. Actually, I took today off to get some shit done, and I was like, hey, let's do Wednesday. Like, great, perfect. Here I am.
Well, I mean, he almost died on your airwaves, so it's the least you could do for him. I mean,
I
did he not reveal himself? He revealed himself to be a loyal
I would be out
soldier.
shopping right now.
Yeah, and all I did was give Karl bad audio. If I had died, he'd have had a fucking historical piece of content.
Yeah, that would have been nice. I mean, I'd put her up there with like Vic Henley and Carl Ruiz, like of the epic deaths during podcasts.
It's just you don't want to be
company.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, you don't want to be near a Hughes on the air these days. It's really bad for your health.
Yeah.
There you go. That's a good. I didn't even think about that till you just said that. Hughezy.
But I gotta ask you, Karl. There's a guy you never ever get asked about in interviews ever. Stuttering John. So the latest from what we're hearing is that he's moving back to New York, or has moved back to New York. I also heard that his YouTube, that his YouTube channel has been demonetized, which is taken away from his income.
Yeah. The word income is a funny choice. I like it.
Yeah,
he laughed our asses off. I laughed my ass.
You've been responsible for more people making money off Stuttering John than Stuttering John, and you've also been more responsible for clouding people's timelines with more Stuttering John content when they're trying to get away from the poor guy.
Yeah, the YouTube algorithm, I don't know a lot about it. I'm not an expert on the subject, but I do know if you put the word Stuttering John in any title of a video, it will get 10,000 views in the first day, no matter what the video is. As long as it's not from Stuttering John's channel, just put word Stuttering John in it.
But I gotta ask, Because you're not
Well,
like
you're asking me about what he's up to now. I think I have some insight into this. There's speculation that he's in rehab. I don't know if that's true. He's not moving back to New York. I don't believe he's moving back to New York. In fact, from what I've heard, he's got his sights set on Florida. He needs to sell his shitty apartment. He had to lower the selling price, the asking price, a couple times. So we'll see how that goes. But once he sells that thing, he'll have enough money to go buy a crappy house in Florida somewhere, and then he can retire, in the nice sunny state of Florida.
Because I was interviewing Chrissy Mayer a couple of weeks ago, and during it, she showed her tits. I mean, we discovered, we came to the realization.
Funny thing about Chrissy Mayer, all you have to do is ask. No one ever thinks to do that. Hey, can I see your tits? She's like, yeah, all right, whatever.
Yay!
Wow.
But we came to the realization that Stuttering John has gained weight in the forehead, and that his face is starting to fold in.
Okay.
And to me, and then if his YouTube channel was put under attack, and then you hear about how these people are fucking like prank calling his mothers. Like, I think people are taking it too far, even though it's funny.
No, we've always said observe and report. You don't want to you don't want to fuck with the guy in real life. I think that's going too far. That's going over the line when you fuck with someone in real life. So you don't want to call family members or mess with the guy who's trying to book guests. I know that people were fucking with guests that he was trying to book. I had Cardiff Electric fucking with my show when we were reviewing podcasts, and he was reaching out to the host telling him we were going to be reviewing their show. And it's like, that's not fun. That's not the fun part of this. We got to keep it all on the internet here.
Do you think that with his big comeback that's apparently happening in January or whatever, do you think that anything's going to be learned from all this shit, or do you think it's going to be right back to don't tell it, I know it, he was caught out there stealing, tax evasion? I think that we are hopefully going to get a new Stuttering John, a new and improved Stuttering John. But I'm
not holding my breath for that one, Hughezy. This isn't a guy, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. This isn't a guy who's ever shown that he learns from life experiences and gets better because of them. He's never done that once. I've been going through his autobiography, and it's amazing. We actually did an episode on our Patreon. It was the 9th installment in the autobiography of Stuttering John. We had Bob Levy on the show. He did 4 chapters in a row about Jackie Martling. All he did was shit on Jackie Martling and what a piece of shit Jackie was for 4 chapters. This is guy's autobiography, and all he does is just shit on everyone all the time. He never learns. So here's what I think is going to happen. He's going to come back in January. Now, he wants to create like a compound media. He wants to have his own network behind a paywall you have to sign up for. He doesn't have the means to pull that off. I remember what Anthony went through when he was setting that thing up. It's a lot of money, a lot of aggravation. You really have to know how to run an organization to do something like that. John has none of these skills or resources. So he's going to come back. It's going to be Richard Ojeda. It's going to be Ron Filipkowski. It's going to be Michaels, or whatever the fuck his
Tony
name
Michaels.
is. Tony Michaels, but his real name is Mike Stosnowski or whatever it is. It's going to be all these same rejects talking the same boring bullshit talking points over and over again. It'll still be about Trump, and they'll probably have half the audience, because that's the other thing too. John pissed off all the people who were supporting him by just leaving without even saying anything and charging everyone for November. Everyone who was a subscriber on Patreon and YouTube, and then pretty much was like pissed off at people for complaining about it. So I just hope, honestly, I hope I'm wrong. I hope he comes back. He's sobered up. He's ready to do a serious show or a serious comedy show or whatever he's going to do. Because as you know, we have DabbleCon coming up February 3rd and 4th. And it would be great if we had some brand new Stuttering John material to lead us in to DabbleCon. WATPlive.com is where you can get tickets. A whole weekend of Stuttering John bashing.
Do you think it would be possible to book him for a stand-up gig at that show without him finding out what the event is?
He already knows what it is. He's already very aware of it. Actually, it's interesting because people have reached out to John asking what the cost would be to get him to DabbleCon. and people have asked me if we would go along with what he wants. I don't want him there. I don't think he would add to. I mean, it would be really cool to bring him up as a surprise, like have everyone go nuts for it. But I don't want him ruining the show. He's not a funny guy when he's trying to be funny, and that's the thing. You can't just plug Stuttering John in there and just be like, all right, now do that thing where you stare at the fucking screen and have nothing to say. That's what I want to see. I want to see John going, oh. He's not going to do that live. It's going to be lame. So I actually don't want him there, but I would love to see him do stand-up in person someday.
Yeah, there's a clip going about. I'm pretty sure WATP covered where he did like a Q&A show or a one-man show in this like tiny bar, and the host of the owner of the bar was asking him stuff about Jay Leno, and then John's completely drunk and he goes, I already told him. And the guy says, well, I wasn't here for that. And then Stuttering John he goes, you were sitting right there, you fucking big-headed idiot.
By the way, that's perfect. Yes, what you just said is exactly how it went down. It's insane. It's supposed to be this Q&A where it's like, hey, we've got the celebrity here in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. This is exciting. Let's all get in here. We'll ask him some questions. And then he was so put up by the fact they were asking him questions. It's like, hey, tell us some stories about times that you were on the red carpet interviewing celebrities, maybe a time that it went over really well, maybe a time it didn't work that well. It's like, I already fucking talked about that shit, asshole. Like, all right. You think of another story? There's been a lot of celebrities when you're on the Howard Stern show that you came in contact with. Maybe there's something you could do for us right now since we hired you to be here and flew you out here. Maybe give us something? No? Okay, never mind. That's fine.
Carl, you might actually enjoy this, but Chad down here used to actually work for the Howard Stern show.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
I did,
He actually has a pretty good SJ story if you're interested.
Yeah, so I started interning, right? So he left in 2005. I believe early 2000, either end of 2004, early 2005. I started interning there in the summer of 05, but then I moved on to working in Howard's office at his actual apartment building later on in my tenure there. John used to call all the time to talk to Gary, and Gary would never talk to him. Gary would never let the calls go through. Gary would never want to be on any kind of call with him. But he treated every intern like, what do you think?
Like an asshole.
Like a piece of shit. Like everybody who answered the Stuttering John call was a piece of shit. And he still, no matter what, even though he left, he was still trying to stay with that crew and get in. He would call Gary all the time. They would just go Gary would go like this. He would go, whoop, like that to signify, take the message, get out of here, John. But treated interns just like how, he was treated, like a literal piece of dog shit.
You would think that he would feel some empathy.
A little bit.
For your position. Because he complains about it all the fucking time, the way he was treated.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't learn at all.
But he's got that attitude. I'm sorry. He's got that attitude that they all have at that show, in my opinion, from being there, that they once they step out of that building, they don't realize that they're not a part of the show anymore, but they still carry themselves like it's 1995 and they're in the middle of the party and everybody's at their beck and call. John has never been able to separate.
Yeah, I got to say, it's interesting to see where John's gone and where a guy like Grillo's gone. Because Steve Grillo is a guy that John's always thought that he's better than and had a bigger role on the Stern show. And so they've been trying to get together for years and do these shows, talk about the old days. And you see what's happening. Like Grillo's still in show business. Grillo's still employed and has things going on and things to talk about. Whereas John, literally, the only thing he still has to hold on to is I was once on our Stern show 20 years ago. And I just want to keep talking about that. And it's very pathetic. So what was John's angle to call Gary? What was he trying to accomplish? Was he trying to get himself booked on the show?
I think he was either trying to get booked on the show or typical John just trying to get free shit, and they still obviously on K-Rock 2005, they were still in the center of the universe. I think that John was just trying to get free shit or for some kind of contact.
You still have that bin of porn DVDs?
Yeah. I used to manage that. That's what I used to do. Yeah.
Did some go missing from time to time, Jed?
Oh, you have no idea. There was one time, so they called it Glom, right? So you'd send a list to Howard, and then Howard would check off what he wants, and then there would be a thing there'd be a Glom box where then, eventually you could get your Fred, your Richard, Sal would come down and they'd pick it out. But I was the one who would kind of pilfer through it first. And I put it in my little bag and I leave. And there was one time I went to, what was this? Not J&R Music. There was one of the big music stores in Manhattan. And I went off at the buzzer and they opened up the bag in the middle of this place and it's porn DVDs and fucking, edible this and that and whatever else was sent in. And they had to take it out, put it all on the fucking counter. And I was just like, hey, this is New York. I'm sure I'm not the only one. Let me take my bag and let me go.
That's hilarious. You were embarrassed by having that much porn in your bag?
No, I was not. Carl, it was free and I got to take it home.
Yeah. So here's a dumb question real quick. What were the porn DVDs that Sal would grab?
I don't remember. It's too long ago, but they only did get, look, it's old school Stern. So you would only get, like the big titles and the big titties, the big lesbian porno films. Now, God knows what they're sending is probably, Cox and Rocks 10, and all these fucking titles that they like to promote on that show.
And he went from working for Howard Stern to the WWE. And like his next job's probably going to be the Asian porn star fireworks tester.
Yeah, right. Well, this guy having all the fun. What the fuck? When does karma rear its ugly head?
Everything might sound like fun, but no. The dream jobs are nightmares. Never follow your dreams because it's always just gonna.
You heard it here first. Never follow your dreams and give up all your hobbies. Whatever brings you joy in life, stop it now.
Just keep it where it is. Keep it at arm's length and where you can control it. Never try to be a part of it because you might eat you up and spit you out. That's
hilarious. Although I would imagine that working in Howard's building must have been miserable.
It was very tense. It was very, you were always on eggshells. I worked for his assistant, Laura, and she was just a fucking bitch of all bitches. I mean, like they just treated you like shit. They gave you this like Toyota Highlander that you had to drive around Manhattan to get all this shit for him and Beth. And I went to like, some weird boutiques to pick up dresses for her. You had to get the dog's food. Like, oh my gosh, it was literally slave labor. I think I made I think it was 26.5 was my first offer that I got from them. And we had done the math and worked it out as how much of one day does that take or how many minutes does it take for Howard to pay off a year's salary?
Yeah, right.
2005 though, that was good money.
Well, no, it's one of those things that people don't realize this about radio because they always talk about how cheap Howard is. He didn't pay anyone. But if you didn't want that job, there's a line of people who are going to grab it.
Yeah.
So that's why they can pay that amount of money because it's like, oh, that's not enough money for you, Chad. All right, next. Come on up.
Yeah, no, that's it. It was, oh my God, it's just weird. It was just a weird experience. It was, memorable, fun, and definitely a lot of high points, but just very odd when you look back at some of this shit that, you had to do to try to make it in this business, folks.
Adam, I'm sorry. I know this is your show, but now I have questions for Chad. Now I know this about it.
So, the least interesting person here, but continue.
No, this is interesting. So, Beth seems like a nice person. And from everything that I can sense about her, I don't know the real person or anything like that. She seems like the genuine article. How miserable must she be since this fucking lockdown and Howard not letting her out of the house? She's a fashion model. She has famous friends. She wants to go on TV shows, promote her charity. What the fuck? I mean, this is torture for her, right?
It has to be. And you can hear it in some of those clips. It does sound like some sort of a hostage that's just being kept in this gigantic mansion. But again, she was always very nice to get. What you see is what you get. She's very nice. She was always very cordial, versus him who was very weird and very like a carrot, just standing up straight away from everything. But she sounds like a hostage on these clips, like
Stephen King. Stephen King could make a movie out of this. It's like, whoa, I'm in this amazing mansion. I'm famous. And it's like, all of a sudden, you're not allowed to leave. Like, holy shit, this is
She's
crazy.
going to be squeezing the cats to make noises, and it's like Morse code. Like, that's the help. Get me out of here, please.
But why would she? And listen, maybe they're actually in love, which I doubt because Howard's such a fucking weirdo. But why wouldn't she just leave him? She'd make so much money and she could do whatever she wanted to.
Maybe she's got enough of what she needs. Maybe the H-man still, gives her the lifestyle that she wants.
Yeah. All right. I'll play along.
Speaking of,
Ed, are you still here? What's up, buddy?
Yeah. Hey guys.